Hi, everybody. It's Jay Victoria, the Energy Queen. And I had a request from Adeline, aka At the Real Shoddy. Thank you so much for this request for a video about my story, more about my story with uh, healing from chronic Lyme disease and how my work with energy, that I call Energy Queen Alchemy, actually has been a major healing factor in that journey. So I'm going to do that video right now. If you're interested, keep watching. I'm not just going to be talking about Lyme disease. I'm going to be talking about the overall connection between your energy and your health. And it is a very real connection. So let's get into it. The thing I want to tell you first about my story, if my energy seems a little bit closed off, it's because this isn't something that I talk about a lot. I'm very open to talking about it. That's why I'm doing the video. But this experience that I had with Lyme disease, it wasn't just a physical experience of illness. It was an experience of a lot of pain and suffering. And that included all levels of life: emotional, mental, spiritual. Um, so I think throughout the video, I'll come out of my shell a bit, but just so you know why I might feel a little bit, if you do feel that, maybe you don't. But basically, so what happened for me, the backstory of why I am talking at all about Lyme disease is because I I went on a hiking trip when I was 15 in the west coast of Canada, in British Columbia. And it was just it's kind of sad. It was the most beautiful hiking trip. Took beautiful pictures. And I remember feeling so healthy and so strong. And um, I really, really enjoyed it. I'm not like a super, I'm like weirdly like good at sports naturally, but like I never was like, that's like my number one thing in life. Um, but yeah, I really enjoyed it, and it was just the most beautiful place. And we stayed in a little cabin in the mountains, and I remember being scared that bears were going to eat us because there were bears out there. But obviously, we made it. And um, when we got back to like from that trip, I noticed on my butt I had a big thing that looked like a sunburn to me, which was weird since um, it was on my butt, which was not exposed to the sun. And I remember just kind of barely even being able to see it in the mirror and just thinking, like, well, I remember thinking to myself, it's a spider bite. Oh, I'm in British Columbia. It's some kind of weird spider bite. I'm not from here. So I'm actually from the east coast of Canada. So I didn't really know what it was. And Um, I didn't tell anybody because, again, that part of your body when you're 15, you don't want to tell anybody anything. And I remember in the center of the whole thing, there was sort of a little, I just remember weird little details because honestly, it took me a long time to even trace back Lyme disease to that memory. It really, when I had that happen when I was 15, I didn't think it was anything. I didn't think it was going to affect me. I barely even remembered that it happened. And it took me a long time to trace back to that point. Um, and basically, um, the classic bullseye rash that you get from Lyme disease being bitten by a tick is what I had. I don't remember if it was a bullseye, but I remember it looked like a sunburn. It was like a red mark on my body. It definitely could have been a bullseye. I didn't really pay much attention to it, is the short version of that. And um, right away, um, I started noticing differences in myself. I definitely became a bit more depressed and anxious, and I thought it was just being a teenager. I actually, the next year in school, became anorexic, which can have ties to Lyme disease. And, so there were things that were weird. Um, but overall, I mean, thought I was okay. You don't really know who you are, especially when you're growing up. So, like, you can't tell if this is normal or maybe that's just who I am, something I'm going through. And by the time I was 19, though, I became very depressed from some events that were difficult in my life. And what I believe happened was my immune system was suppressed during that time, which can definitely happen if you're feeling stressed about things. And I believe that the latent Lyme disease that was there had the opportunity to kind of take over. And so I could not get back up from that depression. Lyme disease causes depression, it causes anxiety, it causes mental symptoms because the feeling of having it for me was it was like eating my brain. That's what it felt like. It felt like there was a bacteria or something inside of me like eating my brain. And I remember especially the frontal cortex like felt like it was numb. Like I just felt like I couldn't process emotions. I couldn't I had extreme anxiety that was untreatable via therapy, untreatable via medication. It's like literally I listened to everything the doctor said. I tried everything and it felt like they were just trying to like box me into some other prescript, some other diagnosis because they just literally didn't know what was happening. I really believed inside of myself during that time that there was just something that was wrong that I needed to change, like inside of me. There was just like a fear or some kind of trauma. That's what it felt like for me. And and I just always believed I could go back to who I had been before because that's who I knew I really was. But it was like it felt like there was all this stuff like in the way of that. And I know that's how a lot of people feel when you go through things. It's like, I know this isn't like who I normally am. So like there has to be a way to get back to who I am. And what I want to say about that too is that I don't think you ever go back to who you are. You become a new version of yourself and healing and feeling like yourself again is possible. But I think that you're always going to be transformed like into a butterfly from those experiences. And if you think about the chrysalis, there's struggle, and that's what makes the butterfly strong and be able to fly. So look at your experiences like that. And it took a long time to find a diagnosis, and I struggled a lot um, until I got a diagnosis when I was 26. So 19 to 26 is how many years? 7 years of extreme depression, anxiety, and then the disease progresses to affect every organ in your body. So I had 73 symptoms at one point. I went to my doctor once a month and I had this long piece of paper with 70 symptoms like my heart, I have palpitations, I have blood in my stool, I feel like I can't breathe. I feel like when I'm going to sleep at night, my body's like flying around the room. I have anxiety, I have depression, I have like it was just like the list never ended. My hormones are off. I just like felt like every part of my body was like wrong and something was wrong with it. And I was like in my early 20s. So the doctors looked at me like I was crazy. They definitely thought that I had, uh, I was just anxious in general. And I, I had tried anxiety medication and all kinds of mental health medications that the doctors gave me. They just didn't work. I knew that like this was not the answer. So I basically, as a young girl in my 20s, had to really eventually take the reins of my own destiny because that's a gift that I got from this experience. And this is the kind of gifts that you can get from these kinds of experiences that, like, I really grew up with a real deep sense of trust and authority. Like, I felt like if you're sick, you go to the doctor. That's why the doctor's there. If you have mental health problems, you go to a therapist and they'll fix it for you. If you, I really like kind of felt like that's the way it is. And then after this experience, I realized they're just people. Different ones will tell you different things. Nobody is God. They're doing their best, but they can get it wrong. Definitely. I've had many, many, many professionals diagnose me as different things, and they were just trying to get through the day and do their job. Like how can I have that many things and none of them really fit? And the actual answer was Lyme disease. So like, yeah, like, and sometimes these people have a bit of a God complex. Like all of them were very confident. This is what's wrong with you. This is not what's wrong with you. My doctor basically looked at me and was like, sure, I'll do a colonoscopy. Sure, we can do MRIs. Sure, we can do blood work. It's all normal. So he kind of looked at me, like shrugged his shoulders, like, I guess you're fine, according to all these tests. Um, they weren't testing for Lyme disease. And even the tests they had for Lyme disease in New Brunswick, the province that, I'm originally from, it wasn't an accurate test. So there are all kinds of like problems there. And that really taught me that I had to trust in God because they weren't God and they could actually make mistakes. And if I had followed the advice that professionals gave me, I would have died, like literally. I had people, even in acupuncture, and it's not just the medical system I'm critiquing, I went to an acupuncturist who told me, if you don't start exercising like hard, I can't help you. And one of the things that can kill you when you have Lyme disease is exercising really hard because your heart can give out. So that could have killed me. And I used to tell her, it's really hard for me to exercise. I don't feel right. I used to go to the gym, and if I would exercise too hard, my heart rate would go up so fast. I was like, it's not safe. I just knew it wasn't safe. Like, your body and what's going on inside of you. And I had to really learn to listen to, it's almost like I was put through this training from God to listen to myself, to trust Him, and not trust the voices of the world. And I'm not saying those voices aren't there to help you and they're always wrong, but I think that there's something to this. If you're not getting the answers that you need, I invite you to open up your mind and experience to something else, because to yourself and what God's trying to do in your life, because He's never wrong and He's never been wrong for me. And every time I learned to trust myself, that's what kept saving my life. And chronic Lyme disease basically is like, the difference between Lyme disease and chronic Lyme is that when you get Lyme disease, like when I got it, in the bacteria in my system from the tick bite when I was 15, that was like I got Lyme disease. And what they can do, luckily, if you get a bullseye rash, I hope anybody watching this now is educated on that. Like I didn't know, and I hope that helps you if you ever get that, to know that you do need to go see a doctor that will give you antibiotics within 3 or 4 weeks that can eradicate it from your system, and you don't have to deal with what I did, which is it staying in your system for years, and then that's what turns into chronic Lyme disease, where it's just been in your system for like a lot of years. So it becomes a bit more complicated to eradicate from your system. My story is I got the diagnosis through a test called IGeneX, IGENEX, which you pay for, and you can get more accurate results about whether this bacteria is in your system. That's what I did. And it gave me enough of a picture that it looked like I did have it. Lyme disease is weird. There needs to be a lot of research done on it and more accurate testing, because even that test was sort of like, you only kind of get an idea of if you have it. The other way to diagnose it is through the symptoms. If you have the symptoms, like if you do your research, you look it up, you learn from people. I'm only giving you like a general gloss over the symptoms, because that's not what the crux of this video is about. But if you have questions, you can also email me. I'll put the email in the description, but because I've had it, so I know what it feels like. And but basically you can look at, do I have all these symptoms and would I potentially meet the criteria for someone who has this? then that can also be a way to diagnose it. The treatments are, you either get heavy rounds of antibiotics, which I just was not willing to do because that could be really bad for your body. Some people do that, but luckily I found a doctor called, her name is Dr. Rebecca Risk in Calgary, Alberta. And she was the person I went to because she used Chinese medicine, tinctures, supplements, and things like that to treat it. She has had it herself and healed herself from it. And she also works with your diet, which is really important. So she had a more holistic, natural approach that I really liked. It was really expensive. My family had to pay for it, but they were willing to do it, luckily, since it was saving my life and I had been through so much struggle. And I think our insurance covers some of it, which was really good. But basically, that's how I got my life saved, was through the tinctures that she recommended, the main one being cat's claw. I wouldn't just go order these, you guys. Like, if you're really sick, you need to, there's something called a Herxheimer reaction, where if you kill the bacteria too fast, the die-off can actually cause you to feel sick. So you need to take, like, I took a bunch of green pills to help clear that, and like I had to change my diet, and it was a real, a happy struggle, I'll say, to be in recovery. It was very difficult. Um, but that's another confirmation that I had Lyme disease, because when I took these supplements, I took the advice and the things that she gave me to treat it. I was able to see, like, if I take this tincture, I do feel sick, meaning there is bacterial die off, meaning, yeah, this definitely makes sense. And she has a machine also in her office that can diagnose. I'm not sure how it does it, but it can diagnose if you have Lyme disease. So that's just some side notes about how I got better. But when I started to get better and recover, I basically, my spiritual faculties really opened up. I started seeing energy visually. Um, and something that can happen when you are close to death and you choose to live, that I've heard, is that your pineal gland can open up, which can activate spiritual abilities. So it's weird how, like, the Lyme was at one point activated, and then later on my pineal gland was activated, which gave me positive experiences, being able to see energy, read energy, become super psychic, all kinds of things that I hadn't been able to do before. And the way that I even got a diagnosis, I don't want to leave this out because it's really important, is I tried to get help through those 7 years. You know, I was so sick and I didn't even know I was sick. And it takes a toll on your mental health to literally be dying. You can feel that you are, but you don't know that you are. And everybody around you just thinks you're crazy. And you can't argue that you're not crazy. It's really hard and a sad experience, but again, it made me really strong, and those, that kind of things can make you really strong, um for the future self that you're going to be. So always keep going. And I always believed that if you seek, you will find. And I knew that if I kept looking, I would find the answer, which I did. And the answer I got was from not any person, it was from praying to Jesus. I prayed to Jesus finally on my knees, in front of the image of the Divine Mercy. And he, I think a week later, 2 weeks later, days later, it was right after that the idea of Lyme disease was brought into my reality, and it just seemed to be the answer. And I didn't even know if it would be the answer, but I was like, let's try it out. And I'm still amazed that it was through him that I got my life saved. So that also gave me a deep trust in Jesus, and the practical ways that he works with us to give us everything that we need if we will sincerely ask him and connect to him. And so it was a deeply spiritual thing that I went through, even though it didn't seem spiritual, it seemed physical. Like it was about my physical health, my mental health. But I started to, through the years of recovery, be like, oh, there's like a lot happening in my spirit. And I started to have days of, I started to see the future. I started to see flashes of the future, which had never happened. And they were always right. And so it was like there were all these spiritual things happening. I couldn't really connect, like, why is me getting better from Lyme disease, including all these like spiritual abilities that I've never even heard of. And they're very real. And, I would see light and dark energy flying around me. And I just started to be more intuitive and understand how to read energy. And I didn't really know where it was going, but I trusted it. And eventually, I started to just become more open to what that was all about. And I finished my arts degree in English. I got my journalism degree. I started being a psychic for people on the phone because I was able to. I didn't really feel like I was helping people by being a psychic, I'll be honest, because I just was telling them things they already knew. I really wanted to be able to solve people's problems because I knew suffering so deeply on emotional, mental, physical, all kinds of levels. And the fact that I had been able to find help made me really want to help people. But I felt like when I was being a psychic, I wasn't really helping as much as like perpetuating in a way. I'm not criticizing psychics. Just for me, it was like, I don't want to just tell you what's wrong. I want to tell you, I want to help you. And eventually what happened was I took a course in chakra balancing, um, because I started to realize like there's something to the chakra system and the connection between your chakra system and your entire health, your mental health, your body, your reality, and the way you look. And I was just really interested in that. And basically, I took a chakra balancing class, and that was sort of the way that I understood like, oh, like there are methods that you can use to work with energy, because the class taught us how to perceive the chakras with our hands and move the energy in a healthy way, clockwise, and basically make all the chakras the same size, because when they were the same size, you would feel balanced, you'd feel good, you'd feel like yourself, your health would be better, all kinds of good things. And that's what the course is about. And the thing is, in that course, I started seeing like dark blobs of darkness in the chakras. And the course didn't talk about that. So I was like, I'm just gonna kind of ignore that. I'm just gonna do what I'm taught. And I practiced on people a bunch, and I had to do 60 hours of practice work in the summer of 2019. And I was working on people on my own. I had a little massage table. I brought people over to my apartment, and it was really I mean, I'm so grateful for that time because I learned so much from working with people. I never really knew that you could work with people's energy in such a practical way, especially as someone who was seeking healing like me, for to just be alive, and to not only be alive but to be okay, and to not have to be masking all these symptoms with mental health medications, which eventually didn't even work for me. And I'm not saying like these things are irrelevant. I'm not saying acupuncture isn't good or doctors aren't good. I'm just saying that, like, what I eventually found out was like, what did I want? Even after I got treatment for Lyme disease, I still felt like I had trauma. I had all kinds of things that I was like, you don't want to just be alive, you want to be thriving. And it's like, how do I actually become that person? Like, how do I be the wealthy, happy, in love, fulfilled, following my dreams, beautiful, gorgeous, amazing, confident, anxiety free? Like, how do I be that person? And and not have it take like 50 years to heal, because then I'll be 90 or whatever. Like, how do I do that? And so in those sessions with people that summer, I started to do things that I had never known were possible. And what I did with these people was, since I was unsupervised, I did the protocol of balancing their chakras, but I started to lean into my curiosity about these dark energies that I could see, because I just knew there's something to those, that they don't belong in people. I don't think they're helping anybody, I'm going to take them out. And I would literally reach in with my hand and I would just take them out. And I was like, I didn't know you could do that. Like what, and I didn't really know what they were. I was just like, they don't look right. I'm just going to start taking them out, even though no one has taught me to do this. And the course doesn't even teach me to do this. It doesn't say anything about this. I'm just going to reach in and take them out. But then the people started reporting back to me miracles. They were like, that sexual abuse trauma I was feeling, I don't feel that anymore. And I was like, I think that I took it out of you, but like, how can I just take out something like that? Like, from my experience, things like that are complicated and you need to go to years of therapy and la 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 la. How could I possibly just take out the trauma itself? But I did, and it worked. And not just for one day, like they would report back a week later and it like, yeah, it's gone. And the same thing with physical symptoms. And the same thing with I mean, trauma was a really big one that I loved being able to help people with. And they weren't even paying me. I was just doing practice work, and there were major changes that these people got to see in their lives. And mind you, that was how many years ago? 5 years ago. That was the beginning of the work I do now with Energy Queen Alchemy. And at the beginning of my work, I used to use my hands because I was taught chakra balancing, which involves your hands. In that method, I was taught. And then I started taking out the negativity just like that. I would take out and take it out and just take it out. And there would be a lot of layers sometimes, but I would just take it out. And so eventually my method became like this. I would work with his chakras and I would draw out negative energy like that. And that became my method. And um, it worked so well that my life completely changed that summer. Um, by the end of, by the beginning of September, I did my biggest dream. I moved to New York to do comedy, which I thought was completely impossible for 10 years before that. And so I realized that what I was taking out was, I learned more about what that was, which is negative energy. And that's what I talk about now in my videos and in my work. It's basically the root cause of, that is the trauma. That is the doubt. I couldn't move to New York and do comedy because I had doubt. I literally just would like work on myself and take out the doubt. And then I'd be like, oh, there's no doubt. I can do it now. And I did. And I still live here. And I took treatment for Lyme disease from 2012 through 2013 to, I think when I first moved here, maybe I was taking the drops still. And technically, I think Lyme disease is not curable completely. I mean, everything about Lyme disease is sort of like mythological. I don't know if anybody really knows enough about it, but it seemed like this might be something I might have forever. Who knows? Um, I thought I was going to have to take those drops forever. I don't remember when I stopped taking them, you guys, but I don't anymore. I don't think I took them from that fall when I moved here. I think I stopped taking them around then because I think I realized like if I'm taking out negative energy this fast now, that's the root cause of everything negative, including Lyme disease, including symptoms. And so I remember, I think at one point I just was like, I'm just not going to take anything. And I'm going to trust that I can remove negative energy enough that it will, if I have a symptom, I can remove the negative energy and the symptom will go away. I haven't taken anything since, I guess you could say, 2020. And that's 4 years ago. If I have any symptoms that come up now, I clear the negative energy. And that's how I treat myself. And do I feel good? Of course, or else I would be taking something. And that's how I treat all kinds of things I go through now. If I ever feel an infection, I once felt like a UTI coming on. I was sitting on the train here in New York. I could feel it starting to like, and I started clearing the energy and it went away. Like I literally can do things like that now. If I have a headache, same thing. I just clear the negative energy. I don't take anything for it. if I have a panic attack ever, I clear the negative energy. Um, Problems with my neck, my head, injuries from childhood. I have some stuff going on that I work on that through my method, Energy Queen Alchemy. Um, Literally any problem in my body, that's what I'm personally doing. And because it works and because it doesn't involve putting outside things in my body, and it works. What can I say? It really works. So that's what I personally do. That's my story. And that's what I've come to. That's the solution I've come to, um, after trying pretty much everything. And it's just what works for me. And I've been able to heal people of back pain. I had a client who had Hashimoto's. She had to take a ton of pain medications. I got her down to half her dosage at one point. I've gotten other people off of mental health medications that were causing complications in their body and physical symptoms, which is really sad if you're trying to treat one part of yourself and it's hurting another part. Um, he actually seemed like he was a hopeless case, and that was at the beginning of my business with Energy Queen, which I started in 2020. I started taking on clients and working with other people at a distance. I didn't even know if I could work with people at a distance, and totally can. Um, and yeah, I remember he was someone who kind of took a chance on me. He lives in the UK, and had severe mental health problems, anxiety, depression. Nothing worked for him. I remember after working with him, I used to message him and be like, "How are you doing? Like, tell me the truth." And he was like, "Amazing. I'm making soup and I'm happy." And he got off his medications, and he was just his answer was always, "I'm doing amazing," and he couldn't believe it. It was always like he was like, "I've been waiting 30 years to feel like this," and so things like that are possible through your energy. And people have criticized me and gotten mad at me, saying like, you shouldn't spread this information because it could be hurtful to people. If people just think like, oh, all I need is to get my energy cleared and then I can get off medication. I mean, I'm always careful and I never guarantee I can do this. You know, I'm not, I don't tell people like, that's why I do consults with people. I think every case is very different. I think that health is a combination of the physical and the spiritual, the energetic, and what are you doing? You can't just treat your energy. And, even for me, like I was having some issues with my stomach lately. I was working on the energy, of course, but I also realized I was eating gluten. And so I cut gluten out. I feel much better. So it's like, the physical treatments are not irrelevant, but I think that if you're trying everything and you're not getting the results, definitely you should look at your energy, because um, that could be a solution for you. Your energy creates your health, it creates your mind, it creates your life, it is you, it creates everything about you. So yeah, of course, if there's something negative in you, especially trauma, like negative energy is not normal to you. It's not original part of you, an original part of you. So it causes like it skews your cells, it skews your perception, it skews everything. Like it's not good for you. It's like literally having a toxin inside of you. It's like having a bacteria inside of you. It's like it's a foreign agent energetically. It's not part of you. So of course it's going to cause problems, and you're going to start to see those problems. So yeah, if you have a block in a certain aspect of your energy, that could become an illness for sure. Do I believe that Lyme disease in me was energetic? Well, I was bit by a tick. Um, is the disease itself, does it contain an energy behind it? I believe so. Because why would I be able to treat it now in the past 4 years energetically? Did I take things to get me to this point to be healthy enough to even be able to work on it? Yeah. So it's like, I think a combination can really help. But again, the what's behind it really does come down to the energy. So that's why that's so powerful. And why everything can be treated energetically. It's just sometimes you have to think about like, how can I support myself the best way to have the best results. Sometimes, like doing things through your body to support its healing, of course, are good as well. But I think what we tend to do, and what my story demonstrates, is that if I ignored the energy and I just tried to get a diagnosis through what the world told me, it took a lot of years and a lot of suffering, and I could have died. And then when I work on it energetically, it's like, yeah, it's a whole other level of healing. And it's really working at the deepest level of you. And it can get you fast results, and it doesn't take a lot of time. And I think that we need to include energy work in our perception of health and healing in general, because I think if doctors are really smart, they would be interested in energy, is my honest opinion. Because I'm somebody who lived this, and I lived trying everything everybody gave me, and I lived working with energy. And do I take vitamins? And I think that's important. Yeah. Do I like take care of my physical body? Yeah. Do I care about what I eat? Yeah. Do I exercise? Yeah. But like, if I don't clear my energy, it's just not, it's like leaving this part of you out is just not smart to me now. It's just like, it's not, it's like if there's something that can help you on that level, then definitely look at that level, because that's the deepest level. And I don't care what it is, like mental health problems, anxiety, depression. I'm working with someone on anxiety right now, helping her have, get clear of that. I've worked with people on pretty much everything. And it's really astonishing to me all the time how it is available to us to heal faster than we can think is normally possible. And it's weird to me that like we consider energy work like not real, when it's in fact like the most real healing I've ever seen. And it is the most practical thing for me to be healthy today. And I've gotten it to the point, just to talk about what I do, I don't even use my hands anymore. And I remember at one point being like, that's crazy. Like, I can't just like concentrate and heal people on the other side of the world, like without even like moving my body or like, using my hands. And then that became the possibility. And that's the way I work now, is I just understand that all of energy is beliefs, and I can move energy at will now because I've practiced and I've created it. I've filtered this ability into a skill. God, Jesus taught me how to do that, do everything I do to help people, and to put these messages into the world, because the world needs them, and to provide an actual method to heal, instead of maybe going to get a facial or massage. Maybe you can get a session for your energy. Like, it can really impact all levels of your existence in a positive way. And that's what Energy Queen Alchemy is. And that's the way I see it. It's just like a new world. The world is changing. This is a new world skill. It's a new world service. And it's something that can have really incredible results. And it's supernatural, yeah, but like all of life is. That's an aspect of life. And yeah, basically I can move energy at will through my beliefs. And I've developed, I've moved my skill set up from working with thousands of people across the whole planet for the past 4 or 5 years. And now I can just, yeah, I work with people, and I do it through I move energy through my beliefs. I find the negative energy. That's one of my major skills that I have. I can locate negative energy really quickly, and I dissolve it by combining a positive frequency with it. Negative and positive can't exist in the same space. So as soon as I bring a positive energy in, I work with the blood of Christ. That's the positive energy I use the most, though I have many, many other ones I use. But I will just dissolve the negative energy now. And so I'm not even like taking it out like that. And, it's like I'm just dissolving it inside of you. That's what I'm doing now. And the results are instant. You feel instantly lighter after my sessions. The thing about things like illness or things that have been there a long time is that there are many layers. So there can be a lot of layers in your energy that need to be cleared. So I won't just, it depends. So that's why I say it depends on who you are and what you're dealing with. How many sessions will get you the result that you want, because I can do one session and clear a certain amount of energy. Some people only do one session with me and they feel great. Some people have worked with me for, I have a client right now who's been working with me for a year and a half and she's loving it, but like everybody has different goals and everybody has different things in their energy. So everybody's so different that I can't really say like, give me this many sessions and I'll heal you. It's like your energy is real. And so we have to actually look at what's going on and diagnose the problem, diagnose what's in you, and then come up with a plan to get you the results that you want. But from what I've seen, people who are open to that, who are willing to invest, who are not coming to me to heal them or give them anything, but are just opening themselves up to an experience of basically just saying, I'm ready for this. I'm ready. Like people have come to me and they're just like, have that attitude. Like, I am ready to receive something from God, basically, like a divine experience of God being able to heal me. Because I really feel like it's God who heals people. I just created a method to bring him into contact with you. Um, it's like what is the thing that God would want to give you? And what is like that next level of positivity in your life? And so I find that God generally wants to heal people even more than you think he does. Like he wants you to get back to like not get back to who you are, but be who you really are. Like be strong and share your light. Like we need the light. We need your light. So I know that every day that I do what I do today and I share what I do, it's because of him. It's because of the training he gave me and the knowledge he gives me every day, the courage he gives me every day to show up and talk about these things, even though they're different. At this point, I know that in the future, these things will not be different at all. They will be very normal because they're very real and the results are very real. And I think that's what matters most to people is results. So I hope that this helps you. Thanks so much for the video request, Adeline. And if you are interested in doing a free consult with me, I'm still providing those right now. And you can get the link in the description. If you have any questions, please email me and sending you a lot of love. All right. Thanks for listening, guys. Bye. Woo. Fun.